Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be talking about Workhorse stock. Before I start the video, guys, please make sure to leave a like on the video below. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Join the family, guys. Let's go on our investor journey together. So today we're going to be talking about Workhorse stock. And if you guys don't know what Workhorse stock actually does, or Workhorse company itself, they basically produce electric delivery vans, basically another EV company. They've been coming out pretty strong, and the big news surrounding Workhorse stock recently is kind of the USPS deal. Basically, they have a deal or an ongoing deal negotiations with USPS about rolling out 180,000 vehicles. It's a $6 billion deal. But before we dive into that, guys, we're going to take a look at the 5-year chart together. This thing IPO'd December 11th of 2015. $5.90. It was basically a penny stock, but over the past 5 years, guys, or ever since it IPO'd, it's up 286%. Even the 1-year chart, it is up 556%. But a lot of people have been wondering why Workhorse stock actually hasn't been doing that well lately. And it's because what USPS and Workhorse are actually going through right now. So if you guys don't know, USPS actually delayed the deal. It was supposed to unveil it this past Tuesday to see if the deal was actually going to go through, but they delayed it, I believe, another 6 to 8 weeks. I could be mistaken on that number, but I do know that this big delay on Workhorse stock was actually a big deal because it led people to not only one, sell off the stock, but it even led some analysts to rate Workhorse stock a buy to a hold. So a lot of people are really waiting on this deal. It's going to be a big, huge deal for Workhorse stock, but currently sitting at a $2.6 billion market cap. Workhorse stock is actually a pretty big company. It's doing very well for itself, and it's expanding. You have to understand that the whole idea of delivery vans and electric delivery vans is going to be a huge market once Workhorse stock actually builds the clientele. Now, if it lands the USPS deal, I know for a fact that, it's going to get itself on the road. It's going to get itself more deals, but other news that's kind of surrounding Workhorse stock is it did get a government help to actually push out more vehicles faster, which is really good news for Workhorse stock, meaning that people do want it to grow. Although investors actually didn't take too well to this news because it didn't lead the stock to rally any much more. People were still caught up about the USPS deal getting pushed off. So even though it did get help, I believe it was a $200 million loan to help escalate its process, to help grow faster. Investors weren't really interested in that, and it still led people to sell off the stock. On top of that, we do have a short seller on the stock as well. They published a report basically saying that Workhorse stock is actually not going to get the deal because they feel like the USPS is actually not impressed with the vehicles that Workhorse has to offer. You guys have to understand, though, that, a short seller, their main goal is to make sure that the stock goes down. So when a short seller publishes a report, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but what I am saying is you have to take everything a short seller says with a grain of salt. But basically what the short seller came out and said that, yeah, Workhorse stock is not going to get the deal. They're not impressed by Workhorse's technical prowess or the capability that they have. And they're also not interested in the vehicles, which is why they actually pushed the deal off. I don't know how much fact there actually is into that, but for me, I still think Workhorse stock is a buy. Obviously, everything I say in my videos is not financial advice. It's just my personal opinion, but the reason why I still feel like Workhorse stock is a buy is because its idea that it's putting in the EV market is such a brilliant idea that I know that it's going to keep expanding. You have to understand, not only are a lot of analysts and big time investors very, very bullish on the whole EV industry in itself, but you have to understand that the market in itself is just starting to mature. So it's starting to get a lot more attention. You guys have to understand, when Tesla was first founded, it did not see a lot of success at first. A lot of people thought that Tesla was going to fail. Founded in 2003, didn't really see much success until the recent years. I don't think Tesla even put up a profitable quarter until about 2018. So with Workhorse stock, you have to understand that it's not going to go through the same steps that Tesla had to go through, build its clientele and stuff like that. I understand that Workhorse does have to do that. Make sure it's building a good brand for itself, and it doesn't want to end up like Nikola Motors. You guys have to understand that Nikola Motors' idea was a good idea, even backed by GM, but it's just corrupted by, a CEO who didn't really know what he was doing, over-promising and falsifying a lot of stuff to investors. Workhorse has to avoid this route, but basically even the short seller is saying that, Workhorse is misleading investors, saying that their vehicles aren't as good as they're claiming out to be. As I've done some schematic research on the Workhorse vehicle, I believe the vehicles are pretty good size. They have two vehicles. It's a C650 and a C1000, and they each get about a 160-mile range on a full charge, which is good because Workhorse already has these vehicles made. They've passed all their licenses, so, they're doing pretty well for themselves, but people are more interested in the USPS deal. That's kind of the main point and the main kind of news that investors are waiting for when it comes to Workhorse stock. Even analysts have said that, you know, without the USPS deal, Workhorse stock will probably still do okay. But the thing is, a lot of analysts also said that Workhorse stock basically needs this USPS deal or it's not going to do that well. And you have to understand that this USPS deal is going to be a catalyst for Workhorse. Once it shows what it can do, once it shows what it can bring to the table, a lot more companies that do that delivery van service are going to be knocking on Workhorse's door to get more contracts out on the road, to get more vehicles out on the road. You have to understand there's UPS, there's FedEx, there's Amazon, there's so many delivery type vans out there. So I know that once Workhorse actually shows its capability, shows its technical prowess and what the vehicles actually have to offer, I know that Workhorse stock is actually going to do well. This is why I personally still rate Workhorse stock a buy. I know that it hasn't been doing well the last couple of weeks or ever since the news kind of came out, and you know, people are also getting impatient. They don't want to wait any longer on the USPS deal because people are starting to get afraid that it's not going to go through. But I think Workhorse stock is a buy, and even though it doesn't land the USPS deal, which me personally I think it will, but even if it doesn't, you have to understand that the market that Workhorse is currently saturated in is still a very good market, and it's still a lot of room to grow. You have to understand that the market that Workhorse is trying to tap into is very, very new, so it hasn't really got to build its reputation yet as a company. But with that being said, guys, that's all I really have to say about the video. Let me know down in the comment section below, guys, what you think of Workhorse stock. Do you think Workhorse stock is a buy? Do you guys own Workhorse stock, and how many shares do you own? I'm very curious to know your opinion, guys, on Workhorse stock. With that being said, guys, thank you. Have a great day.